Morning, sociologists. Welcome. Now, have fun. We're on one of our final modules of the sociology course. How scary. So this is a little introduction to crime and deviance. So you're doing beliefs in society with Sir and crime and deviance with me. So we're going to do a little introduction as to what is crime and what is deviance. Start with a quick recap. As always, 4 questions here. Pause it, answer them, and then guide your revision based on the ones you weren't sure of. So we've got 5 ethical considerations. What do postmodernists see as the 4 causes of globalization? 3 Marxist sociologists, and the new right being the perspective that says the nuclear family is in decline. So let's start then. Crime and deviance. This is the whole course. Now, this will probably take us from September to about February time. Before we do that, we need to do methods in context, which is where we apply research methods to areas in education. That's about 5 weeks. So by late February, March, I'm hoping our side of it we're done. Beliefs you'll do probably until April. And then that gives us a little bit of time to do some revision and try and get us up to scratch before the exams begin. So crime and deviance then, what is the difference? So crime on the left then, parking on yellow lines, that is a crime. Legal code has then been broken. Deviance, smiling at strangers. I don't think that's deviant. I do that all the time because I feel awkward. And that's like a moral thing. So deviance is things that go against the social norms in society. Then in the middle is where we have our moral code and our legal code broken, something like murder, for example. So if we break crime and deviance down, we've got crime being where we're breaking the laws of a given society. The punishment is most likely to be more serious than if you did something, a deviant act. Prison being the main punishment. Deviance is where you're going away from a set of standards that are in society. So deviance is things you can't control that legally, but I mean, for me, deviance is putting milk in the tea before the water. But there are lots of deviant acts that you can think of. They are socially constructed. We've got 2 areas here. So dominant ideology is the mainstream set of beliefs that are held by a society. They keep the standards. And social construction, things like norms, queuing is a norm, it's a social construction. And that can vary from being normal to abnormal, but depends on the situation, depends on the time and the place. So you can be naked at home in your room, but you can't do that out and about in Audi, because that is, then it becomes an offence. So it's all relative. It's all relative. So it's all relative to the time, the place, the society. So we've got open and public deviance here. Ken Plummer came up with this idea of societal and situational deviance. So societal deviance is what the dominant ideology of society considers wrong. Whereas situational deviance depends on the time and the place. So an act may be deviant in one setting, but not in another. To see if you can think of some examples there. So if we look around the world, we've got a variety of different things that we would consider to be a crime or consider to be deviant. But how is deviance so socially defined? So defined by time of day, history. For me, my neighbours were having music until midnight, and I thought, God, I have to get up and do work tomorrow. That's so deviant. That's so going against the norms. By 10 o'clock, it's off. Drinking alcohol at 8 a.m. People might decide that that's deviant because it's, but 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's totally fine. The smoking ban only came in July 2007, so banned in public places. 1974 in the USA, being gay was no longer illegal, so that deviant act completely changed. Homosexuality is a good one, actually, because it used to be a criminal offence. Some people still see it as deviant, but we are moving towards, eradicating both of those things. So place, where it takes place, like I said, nudity in public or private, killing in the wartime. So killing in, if you think of a soldier, their job is to protect people and kill people. But if they were brought into society and they killed someone, that's a criminal offence. So is it double standard? Social situation, the context in which an act takes place. Flag waving at a funeral, not going to have a massive party, are you? Or laughing in an exam, it's just odd. It's just seen to be deviant. Cultures have different expectations for different behaviours. So like the use of cannabis in a lot of Arab states is legal, but alcohol isn't. And that's the same with a lot of different places around the world as well, apart from Portugal, where I think every drug is legal out there, but taxed really heavily. So those sort of things, time, culture, social situation and place, quite important to think about when we talk of deviance. In sociology, how it's defined, so a violation of a group norm or one who's going against the agreed group norms. So have a think then of which of the following you would say is deviant and which you would say is illegal. Being a punk, women kissing women, men kissing men, women wearing the burqa, black and white people being together, tattoos, this. So that's where it becomes a little bit tricky, is when we're starting to separate, because by culture it's going to be totally different. We've got two ways of defining deviance. So absolutist is where the deviance is inherent in the individual. So they are born deviant. That's our new right, obviously. We've got relativist, where deviance is a social construct. So it's socially created and everywhere has different rules as to what is deviant. It's a Marxist viewpoint. Absolutism here then. So being black is 3% of the UK population. 15% of stop and search involved black people, 2005-2006. Black people are 3 times more likely than white people to be arrested. Despite accounting for 11% of Londoners, black people of all ages accounted for 67% of those accused of supplying crack cocaine, and almost 40% of those found in possession of this drug in London during 2003 and 4. So they are the hard statistics, the facts that are absolutist. The conclusions that you would draw from that is that black people are predisposed to greater criminality. The social conditions of black minority groups lead to greater criminality. Police and legal system are racist, either intentionally or unintentionally, and a bit of a combination of the above. On that line, on YouTube, there is a great documentary. It's called Secret Policeman. Quality's not great, and there's a hell of a lot of swearing and awful words used, but it's fascinating. I really would go and have a watch. It's really good. So, sociology and relativism. No act is universally deviant. It's negotiated. It's situationally specific. It's historically specific. Things are changing all the time. And what constitutes murder is negotiable. Was it manslaughter or was it full-on murder? And things like pornography, you can create what constitutes pornography. I know it when I see it. But then if you've got page 3, back in the day, page 3 in the Sun, women with, everything showing, I would argue that that's pornography. Maybe that's soft porn. And that's the difference. That's, that social construction is quite difficult to define. So a definition of deviance then would be action, thought, appearance, expectations, violation, and reaction. So all of these things make up something being deviant. And the last thing I want you to do is write a paragraph using these words to just explain what we've looked at so far. So what would be the difference between crime and deviance? And then when you come back in September, we'll delve into it properly.